Hey, what's up guys? This is Fitness Tips by Abdul Sabri. Now today my tip for you guys is basically dealing with form. Now I know a lot of times when we're in the gym and you see people in the gym, you tend to see them doing a lot of stuff and the form is not there at all. They tend to go through the exercises, they compromise reps over form. I've always taught my clients and taught people who I know that you never forego reps over form. You always put the form over reps. Once you have the form down, you can get the maximum benefit out of doing any exercise that you're doing when you have that form. So we basically want to make sure that we got that as much as we possibly can, have that form. So today I have a resistance band that I'm going to be using today, dealing with the form of biceps. I know a lot of people do it different ways. However, I will give you my take on it and also my take on how I do my form. Now, most of the time I see people, they go 180 degrees with the biceps when they're curling. I see people go through, you can do a number of different exercises. You can do drop sets, you can do 21s, things of that nature that cause your arms to stay bent in a certain fashion or a certain time frame. So you're doing a certain time frame and you'll bend it at a certain way, you'll come down at a certain way, you'll go up at a certain way, you'll do a full extension at a certain way or a certain time. Now, outside of all of those exercises, just doing biceps in general. Now, the bicep exercise that I'm talking about today is basically just biceps in general. All right, so one example of someone actually doing some exercise that I seen earlier this week, and it was totally wrong. Now, a lot of times you don't want to do this at all, and it's really no way that I can really, no time that I can really come up with why you should do exercise this way, pertaining to any exercise. And it doesn't have to be biceps. This one particular guy was actually doing some weights this week. He was on a cable machine. He had the whole rack on the machine and he was curling the weight. Now, in his effort of curling the weight, he was basically jerking the weight with his body and his arms. His arms didn't go down to 180 degrees. His arms didn't go down to 40 degrees. It didn't go down to 45 degrees. It didn't even go to 90 degrees. He left them in a bent fashion and he just kept controlling the weight as much as he possibly could as far as jerking the weight with his body. So his body was basically getting most of the effort. His back was probably getting most of the strain because he was bending over and pulling the weight at the same time, and his biceps was getting very little of the workout in general. Now, so with that in mind, I'm gonna turn sideways and I'm gonna show you. I have a resistance band that I got from Marshall's. It's very cheap, very inexpensive. Whether you're doing exercises at home or in the gym, you want to make sure, number one, that your form is correct, and then after that, deal with the reps. But form has to be foremost on top of the list when you're doing any exercise. So you can get the maximum results or the maximum effect of what are you doing when you're doing the exercises. All right, so I'm gonna take this resistance band, I'm gonna put both feet on it, turn to the side, and hopefully you can see my arms and everything as it should be. As I curl the weight, in my position, in my opinion of how I actually curl the weight when I'm doing biceps, is that I never go 180 degrees. I always want to keep my arm just slightly bent, and the reason for that is I want to keep the tension on the arms as much as I possibly can. Never forego the tension. That's what I always do. I never forego the tension, keep the tension on it so I can receive the maximum result of what I'm doing when I'm doing those bicep curls. Whether it's dumbbells, cables, or barbell curls, this is what I always do when I'm doing the weight. And as you can see, my arms are slightly bent. They're not straight out, so they're slightly bent. And so I want to go pull, and from here pull up and then back down, pull up and then back down, and then one more time and then back down. Now I want to stop right there. There is something that I just thought of just a few minutes ago. When you're doing this exercise, now the biceps is two parts: the elongated bicep part of the muscle and the short muscle of the bicep. Now the biceps the curl doesn't stop when you get the bar in your hand or the cable in your hand or resistance band in your hand or either the dumbbells. It stops when you're at the top and you peak that bicep out at the top. When you curl it up to the top, that little peak right there, that is the bicep. That is the peak of the biceps that you're trying to get engaged. And if you notice, if you ever seen some of those guys that's got a real nice peak at the top, it's because they maximize that curl. It doesn't stop when they get to that little slight bend in the arm there. They curl it all the way up to squeeze that bicep up as much as they possibly can at the top. And you want to receive the maximum benefit out of that when you're doing it, because it gives you a whole lot when you do it that way. The biceps tend to get a lot more out of it, and you just want to continue to keep doing it that way throughout the exercises. And like I say, I've seen a lot of people, they forego the reps. They don't even think about that. And then also when you're doing this, you want to think of it as two parts. The physical part, you want to think about it as being physical, and also a mental part. The mental part is the mind connection to muscle, which means that when you're bicep, or when you're connecting, doing the biceps or chest press or things of that nature, you're mentally thinking about that muscle group that you're working on. You're visualizing it, the contraction, the releasing of the muscle itself. You're visualizing the squeezing of that muscle. And then physically, you're actually doing the exercise. So that is two parts. And a lot of times when you're doing the exercises, a lot of people don't even know about those two defining points of doing any exercise. They don't think about the exercise when they're doing it physically or mentally. And so they forego a lot of gains they could be getting out of it, because you want to connect your mind to that muscle group that you're actually working, so you can get the maximum side out of it. Now, like I said, this is my tip for you guys. Just constantly just stay and don't forego the form of the biceps or the form of any exercise that you're doing. Don't compromise that form and put your reps over the form. Get that form first, guys. Always form first and then the reps. Form first, then the reps. And then also, like I said, if you want to take that pointer from me of keeping your biceps not at 180 degrees when you're doing it, you will see there will be more results out of it. You will feel it more. There'll be more that you get out of that exercise when you're doing those biceps. And like and subscribe on my channel, guys, as much as you possibly can. Leave comments, things that you want to hear more about. Definitely leave something there, and I will do my best to expound on those areas that you want to hear more about. Definitely. Until then, guys, stay frosty and stay on your nutrition. This is Abdul Sabri Fitness Tips. All right, peace.